Welcome to New England Soccer Journal's The Goal Podcast, the podcast for serious soccer players and their supporters to help further their development and navigate their way throughout their soccer careers.
Welcome into today's edition of The Goal Podcast. I'm Matt Doherty. Matt Langone beside me. Matt, how you doing?
Matt, I'm good. How are you?
Good. It's middle of the summer. I felt like it was a good time to recap the club season, boys, girls, all the leagues that we covered this year, and just sort of take a big look at how the season went from our perspective and the team's perspectives, and kind of dive into what we learned from the club season. Does that work with you today?
It does, and I can tell it's middle of the summer because you look like you're dressed for about 36 holes today. So.
Yeah?
is that on the docket?
Out after today. That's why I record in the morning.
Go shoot a number.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
But yeah, that sounds like a good idea. We're kind of through, for all intents and purposes, we're kind of done with the 2024-25 soccer season. Because that last club stretch, after you finish off playoffs and the national showcases are all in the rearview mirror, so it's kind of the downtime. I'd say late July, early August is kind of the downtime for players before the high school prep season starts back up in September, and for a lot of people, club season as well.
Yeah, and it was a good season. I mean, let's start there. Like I kind of started right when the club season began for MLS Next, so I was in it from October 1st until July 1st, basically. We took some nice trips this year too, which got to see a lot of the teams, not only locally, but then, see them play against other teams from across the country, which I think is a really good barometer check for us to see how they compete against a team from California or a team from Michigan, whatever, name the state. So, yeah, all right, let's get into it. You went to Phoenix.
I did.
I went to Palm Springs.
Not bad places to visit for us.
Yeah.
I mean, I think if you can tell me that I get to go to Phoenix to watch soccer for 3 or 4 days, I'd take that 10 out of 10 times, especially in April when it's, rainy and kind of miserable here. So that was an awesome trip. And that it is. Those trips are eye-opening, and I'm glad we get to go to those trips because we know that New England soccer is really competitive and a super high level, and within the New England conferences and the Northeast conferences, that you play a lot of great competition. But when you go to these national showcases and you get to see these teams from out in California and in Florida and the warmer climate teams who play year round and have just, kids playing soccer nonstop for 12 months, basically, it does open your eyes. And I think if you talk to these coaches from New England, that's the main thing they get out of it is they get to go there and face, a top-ranked team in the ECNL from California, and it shows what they have and what they have to do to get better before the playoffs roll around in June. So Phoenix was great because we were really paying attention. I know on my trip I was paying attention to a lot of the U16 players, the U17 players in advance of the new recruiting window that opened up on June 15th for the class of 2027 players. So that's kind of what we were looking at. I know a lot of the U19 players, a lot of the class of 2025 kids were already committed at that point. So that was a great trip. And we had a lot of great standout coverage on our website, soccerjournal.com with players from those showcases that shined. And it really set the tone for the spring. I think that trip to Phoenix in early April, because it gave us a good baseline of who we need to be paying attention to for the rest of the spring and the early summer.
Yeah, it does help with our coverage, and I think seeing the college coaches is always an eye-opening thing as someone who wants to write about these players, and you have some games where you have 60, 70 Division I coaches on the sidelines, and it's like, wow, like the attraction of talent in our region, but also just that opportunity for those players. It kind of makes our job, signifies how important it is to highlight these players because their futures are in the balance there, and these showcases mean so much to them to get noticed. Do you have a favorite moment from Arizona, or a game that you watched, or what would you say?
I think it just was lesson learning for while I was out there, because it reinforced some things that we already knew about New England soccer. I mean, FC Stars, it just kind of shows you how the level that FC Stars is at in the girls club soccer world, with just having the two teams, blue and white, and being able to have two ECNL teams and go to these showcases and compete at a high level. And then obviously we saw Stars Blue with a a massive turnout in the ECNL playoffs. I mean, they had how many teams there qualified for
They had
ECNL? Five, and
five out of the 6 age groups.
and that was all just blue, right? That didn't even include, yeah. So that it kind of reinforced what they are. They played some really high level competition out in Phoenix, and those Stars Blue games, we're a treat to watch just because of the talent level on those teams and the amount of players on the field that, for them and for the teams that they were playing that will go on to play Division I college soccer or, high level Division III or Division II, whatever it will be. There's just a lot of talent on there, but then just the individual talent, like a player like Cambril Armstrong for Scorpions, who you wrote about from your trips to showcases and your, covering games. Just the force that she was on the field, and a lot of players like that you see in person because, you hear about it, you might see highlights online or whatever, but then when you see them play in person, you kind of watch what they do, and you can watch what they do when they're not involved in the play or the runs they make or their on-ball skills. That stuff stuck out a lot to me. Just the individual talent of some of these players and what the ceiling may be for some of these players. So that's kind of the main lesson I learned from Arizona, and that's kind of what I try to get out of any of those trips is just who are we haven't been paying as much attention to, which players, which teams maybe we haven't been paying much attention to, and maybe we should be. That's kind of the lesson you learn.
Yeah, also the clubs, we know Stars is the premier girls program in our region, but I think Scorpions is a club who had a really successful year taking that next jump. They hadn't made the national playoffs at the 17. Last year they made the North American Cup, then they take that jump and make the national playoffs this year, and they had 2 teams. They were, besides Stars Blue, they were the only New England club that had 2 teams from the high school age group make a national playoff. So it was cool to also see a club like that. They got some players in the offseason, and they took that jump. They had a better season. They're improving. Select was in their first year as an ECNL club and had a couple teams in the North American Cup, which is still a good accomplishment, had a couple younger teams in the national playoffs. So you think that in the ECNL girls sphere, it is Stars Blue, but who's going to kind of join them, go behind them? And I think Scorpion Select really took some leaps this year, and Select will probably get better as the years go on once you adjust to that league. But for Scorpions, it was a very successful year for them, improving the club. And that's cool to see as well, kind of progress throughout the year. Because I remember when we left Florida, it was oh, this team's good. And then, kind of tracking them throughout the season. And they did end up making the national playoffs, which is a cool accomplishment. Yeah,
I think you mentioned Select, Matt, and I think that's another good storyline from the season. They obviously making the transition from Girls Academy to ECNL. Just kind of how, it's probably a story we'll do maybe this summer, I think, actually, now that I think about it, kind of talking to them and seeing how the transition went for them. What were the main differences from going from one platform to the other, Girls Academy to ECNL? That one, this just popped into my head right now is what would make for a good story, Because, it's interesting because those are the two preeminent club platforms for girls soccer in the country, Girls Academy and ECNL, both super high level. But you make the transition from one to another, and Select was such a dominant Girls Academy team. You look at some of the Select alumni. Lily Reel is a Select alumni. Allie Sentner, the two probably best women's players we've had come through New England in recent memory. Both are national team players right now. Yeah, both are national team members. Both. Lily played at UCLA. Allie played at North Carolina. It doesn't get any bit better than that. They both came through Select. So the player development within Select can't be questioned. They've created a lot of great players and produced a lot of great players. So how they continue to make that transition to ECNL will be an interesting thing going forward. Competing with Stars, competing with Scorpions. Select and Scorpions are both kind of in the same region. Southeastern Massachusetts, kind of probably looking at the same pool. Pulling from the same talent pool. So that's an interesting thing. Kind of the competition that goes on within these clubs, and is there movement? Nina Mathalis started at Scorpions, right? Now she's at South Shore Select. So another great player from the region who's going to play at Cal, right? Committed to Cal. So that's just interesting stuff. The player movement, does that happen? That's kind of the stuff you keep an eye on when you go to these showcases and you talk to people, within the club world, what's going on. But for you, this was you kind of came on full force last fall and kind of grabbed that club beat by the horns and have been covering a lot of club soccer. What stuck out to you about covering the club game this year, just in general? Because you covered boys and girls, but what stuck out to you this year?
I think from what, boys and girls, or
just a general theme maybe from covering club soccer.
I think it's. I mean, I went from covering high schools, and that's a team, and that's a couple months a year, and then, I think it's a different environment, but I think kind of the competitiveness of these clubs, and I think becoming friends with or close with some of the MLS Next directors, or it's a competitive world, and I think that adds a layer of an excitement for us to cover it, because these clubs do want to win. Like they obviously want to produce players, and that's their ultimate goal. But there also is that prestige of having that club and reaching that high mark of like, okay, we're the club to be in New England. And I wasn't sure, in my head I was like, yeah, it's probably there. But then when you see it and you see how much it means to the players and the coaches and how much work they put into it, like it's not just like the high school season where you have a couple of months and then you kind of go your separate ways for 9 months. Like this is year round. It doesn't stop. It's 4 or 5 days a week of training. It's games in other states. Like just kind of how big the world is and how much it means to run a club here in New England. And I think that part of it was pretty cool to witness firsthand, and sort of how they, like, it's almost like a pro season when you look at it, like, especially for the MLS Next kids. Like they start in September and they just finished last month and they're training the whole year. It's like being on a professional team when you think about it, how much you're around that group. And so I just think that world of it was, I didn't know what to expect, but I think that was fun to see and added a layer of prestige to everything in our coverage. And yeah, it's an interesting world. It really is.
It is.
I think that was I wasn't fully sure what it was when I started, and now I feel like I'm a part of it and I like it.
Right. And it's hard to navigate because there's so many clubs and there's so many options and there's so many levels. We tend to focus on ECNL and Girls Academy and MLS Next and some of these, but there's DPL, there's
ECNL boys.
Yeah, I mean there's a ton of platforms and there's great players at all platforms and there's a lot of clubs and it's hard to navigate. But you're right, it's like it's its own force, and it's almost like, if you're going to run a club in New England, I mean, it is a massive undertaking. It's like overseeing a college. It's like you're overseeing a college program at this point, because you're constantly on the lookout of which players should be designated to which team within your club. You're trying to do right by every kid, get them seen by as many coaches as possible, get them playing at the next level, because ultimately they're judged on how many next level players they produce. I mean, like you said, the winning matters and they want to win because that's a part of competition. But these clubs are really judged on how many players are they sending to the next level. And again, to go back to Stars, that's what always jumps out to me about Stars is like, we've already. I mean, we wrote stories for our magazine and for our website on class of 2027 players to watch as the new recruiting window opens. You can find that on soccerjournal.com or in our latest issue of our magazine. But there was already a class of 2027 player to commit. Guess which club she plays for? FC Stars. Yeah. You wrote the story. Keegan Murphy going to Dartmouth, right? Mm-hmm. So. Right off the bat.
One day in.
One day in. The window opens. Stars has a player commit.
Well, they've had every player for the last couple of years has committed to a college.
Yeah, and that's insane. I mean, that's an incredible accomplishment. Right. I mean, I know Graham is super. Graham Blackman over at Stars is super proud of that. He should be. Like that's an unbelievable accomplishment to get these kids.
But then that when you're 12 picking a club, parents, they're like, okay, but I'm going to go there. That track record is.
But I imagine it creates a pressure cooker too, because it's like, all right, I had my player, my child has a vision of D1 soccer. Where's the best avenue for that? Oh, Stars. Okay, here's my player. Now get them to D1. I mean, that's a lot of pressure from all spots. Like Stars has now built the reputation as like we develop these players, so now it's something they have to continue, which they do, which to me is remarkable. Like it really goes to show you their player development, and it's not just them. Scorpions, has a bunch of class of 2026 players already committed on the girls' side. So Scorpions is doing a great job. Select's doing a great job. CFC down in Connecticut is doing a great job. They're all phenomenal. I mean, what you really learn from all these club seasons is that New England is a soccer hotbed. I mean, they're just creating talent everywhere.
Yeah, I think on the girls' side, like that was one thing that the talent, or there's more players going Division I on the girls' side than the boys' side. But I feel like this year, the MLS Next. I mean, I wrote about this in the story in our magazine, but I feel like MLS Next is continuing to grow and produce more Division I prospects from New England. I mean, like some teams, I think last year, like when I first started, it was like, oh, how many Division I players did you have? Like kind of, and you know, they have a couple, 1, 2,
Right.
3, depends on the team. But I feel like the class of 2026, the class of 2027, like it's starting to get more higher. That number is starting to grow. Like IFA's U17 team already has like 3 kids committed to Division I. And
big time
more on the
programs
way.
too. Yeah.
So it's like, I feel like, you know, the Bolts have Division I kids. Like it's starting to, that league is only going to grow bigger on the boys' side. And that's going to lead to more Division I prospects in our region. And the kids who start when they're 13 and end when they're 19, like
Right.
that pathway, I think on MLS Next is starting to gain some steam.
Yep.
And I think more kids are going to start playing it, and more Division I prospects are going to come on the boys' side.
Right. Before I hit you with a few more questions on the boys' side of things, I do want to shout out NEFC on the girls' academy side too. NEFC sent 3 teams to the GA Girls Academy National Finals in July, and after an incredible showing at the playoffs out in California, they sent 3 teams, and on top of that, they had the U19 team playing the national finals out there. They finished up the U19 playoffs in California at the first installment of the playoffs. So they were the national runner-up in U19, and then sent 3 more teams who all went undefeated in group play at the playoffs. They sent those 3 teams to the GA finals. It's just a remarkable. NEFC is another club that is remarkable in their consistency every single year on the girls' side. I mean, they just produce players. Nick Burke does a great job over there as the director of coaching. Always competitive. They've kind of turned the same thing, turned the same trick that FC Stars has done in ECNL. NEFC now has 2 designated teams in Girls Academy, which shows you when you have the talent to fill out 2 different teams in a platform like that. That's pretty remarkable. Navy and Red, they have 2 different teams. So NEFC is doing great stuff in the GA. That's another lesson we've learned this year, that they're a force still, a national force, and should be for a while. On the boys' side, Matt, you cover a lot of like you said, you went out to Palm Springs for MLS Next Fest. You went out to Flex in Maryland in May, so you saw a lot of MLS Next soccer this year. Wrote a great story for our latest issue of our magazine on how MLS Next has become the dominant platform in boys club soccer in this country. What did you learn? I mean, that story, for those that want to read it, will show what you've learned about this platform. But what sticks out to you that makes MLS Next so great?
I think the player development, just that hands-on training that you get year-round, I think is, there's nothing that offers that. Even ECNL boys, which is a good league in itself, but they kind of start after the high school season, whereas the MLS Next, like when you sign up for that, you're getting basically 10 months of training. Like they have July off, July, August, and then you start right back up around Labor Day. So just having that development, I think, is the biggest thing, and the amount of coaches that they have. Like a lot of the clubs try to designate 1 coach per age groups, and they all offer U13 to U19. So when you get that hands-on training for 6 years, for 10 months a year, like you're going to become a better player, you're going to learn the game better, you're going to develop your skills better. So I think that talking to those clubs about like, hey, why, if you're trying to sell a kid, like why MLS Next, it's just that development that they get, the opportunity to then play against the top competition, like when you're all under one umbrella. I think that was the big thing, and why MLS Next has kind of grown over the years is because now all the best teams are under one umbrella.
Yep.
So you're playing against the best competition, you're traveling out of state. Like the Northeast Division, you play teams from New York, you play Montreal, you play Toronto, like you play the Revs, like you have those games against teams from all over like beyond New England, and then you get to play it in the national showcases. And So I think development, exposure are the two biggest things that have helped the league grow. And obviously the story was also that it's going to grow more. You know, they added about 1,000 teams for starting in the fall, a second MLS Next. They call it the competition tier. It's going to get a real name soon. But you look at, you know, we had 4 New England teams, like Surf, Connecticut Rush, like those teams are now joining MLS Next. And then you had all the we had nine boys clubs who have MLS Next already. They all added a second team. So you're just going to get more kids into the system, which is only going to grow the league more. And that's starting in the fall too. So we'll have another club league to cover when the fall kicks off.
Yeah. And I mean, within MLS Next, the Revolution Academy is obviously a force because of, their direct involvement with the Revolution. The Bolts have always been a force. But you mentioned IFA New England earlier. And to me, that seems like kind of
they're taking
the
off.
growing machine right now in New England soccer. I mean, just on the sheer commitments we've seen for the class of 2026 from IFA. I actually wrote a story for our spring magazine, I believe it was in 2023, on IFA. And how they were kind of
that was when they gained the full pathway.
When they gained the full pathway, and how they may be a force going forward. This was 2 years ago. We'll give ourselves a pat on the shoulder because we myself a pat on the shoulder for nailing that one. But IFA's become a force. It looks to me.
Yeah.
You've seen them play. You've seen the product. Is that true?
I've seen them probably the most out of any club. I feel like they're innovative. I think they kind of look at things a little different. They have a different play style than other teams. I think they try to recruit players who are going to fit what they do. But they're definitely attracting a lot of talent. And I think they have a good development system. But you look at the U17 team was really, really good. And they made the MLS Next Cup playoffs. One of 4 of the U17 teams from New England to make it, which is a really strong age group for us. And next year, those kids will be the 19s. But that's a really strong class. I think that class sort of signifies where this is going. You look at the 16s who will be the 17s next year, which is kind of our big focus group. I think it's only going to get better. I think the 17s this year were a really strong class. Even talking to other coaches from that age group, they're like, we think the U17 Northeast is the best division in the country. Wow. That good. And I think you're seeing that with IFA. We had IFA, the Bolts, NEFC, and then Beachside made it too. And Beachside, who won, they were in first place. They didn't end up making the playoffs, but that's a good team too. They lost 2 games all year in the conference play. And so I think that age group kind of shows what we have here. And IFA is a big part of that. They lost 1 game in the spring. And like we said, you wrote that Division 1. I know I did that one. You did that too, though. We were kind of looking at it, but they're churning out some D1 prospects, and they have a couple really good players who haven't even committed yet, who are probably going Division 1 too. And then you look at they might have 7-8 D1 kids next year, which is higher than normal for MLS Next of what it's been over the last few years. Yeah, and I think kind of the game within the game that we'll be paying attention to over the next year, 2 years, 3 years is what ECNL does on the boys' side to compete with this growing platform, this growing powerhouse that is MLS Next, and kind of I would think a lot of aspiring college players and kids who want to be pros are going to be looking at MLS Next saying, that's where I got to go. ECNL, how does that platform factor in? Still a great platform, obviously. Connecticut FC has great players. Nathan Gritzmacher is a name who sticks out as a great player, within, a great prospect. To people within CFC will tell you he's a Division I prospect through and through, and he plays for Loomis Chaffee, obviously too at the prep level. So he plays great soccer. So ECNL Boys is still a tremendous platform that's producing a lot of great players as well. But it's just competition, and you would argue competition breeds success anyways. The more great platforms there are, and the more quality club teams there are playing in different platforms, it's gonna make everyone else better. It's the argument in the United States where people say the MLS needs which is what USL is trying to do. USL is trying to figure out a way to compete with MLS and create a better pipeline of talent in the United States, because the more leagues you have, the more options you have. The theory is the better talent might get. I mean,
we'll see how that all plays out. But we'll be paying attention to how ECNL Boys develops as well.
Yeah, yeah. And obviously MLS has had a big impact on MLS Next.
Of course.
Too. Like
right.
that league is starting to grow and attract players. And then, if you're a 14-year-old and you're like, oh, I could play for like the MLS Next and play against the New England Revolution. Like like that, the creation or the rise of MLS has definitely trickled down to that level. But I mean, in the story too, it's like, okay, where is this going to go? And I talked to some college coaches and they were like, it could become even more of that league because of that allure of the professional academies, and getting pro contracts could also be a factor. So I think it'll be really interesting to see over the next few years where exactly that league goes and how that affects boys club soccer. But I think the big takeaway was like, it's happening now.
Right.
And I think I kind of saw that throughout the year covering it.
Yeah, for sure. And it's funny that this club season is winded down and we'll have a new one. It's like it never really ends though, because then, August flies by and then we'll obviously be turning our attention to high school and preps and college and the stuff that really cranks up in late August and September. But club gets here before you know it. And like you said, these MLS Next kids, they're playing as soon as the fall starts, they're right back at it, and you'll be in probably
First
Palm
week of
Springs again in December. When knock on wood, and you'll be back in the palm trees, getting that nice farmer's tan in Palm Springs in December. But that's the most fun. I know that you got absolutely fried, didn't you? That first day, was it there or was
Florida.
it? Yeah, Florida. That's right.
Yeah.
I remember we did a Zoom and you were a lobster.
Maryland, I got fried too.
Always, we never learned. You never learned.
The Florida one, it was like cloudy, and one of the parents was like, the next day I saw her again, the mom of one of the players. She was like, "You got like burnt." I was like, "Seriously?" And I looked in I was like, it was cloudy out. It was like 65 degrees, but I think my Irish skin, it was like the middle of the winter, so I'm used to no sun up here, and then I go down there, and one day it's like that exposure just.
My wife always says on the cloud, like, we'll be at the beach and it's like kind of overcast or something. She's like, "These are the days you get burned the worst." I'm like, "What are you talking about? It's all clouds. Come on." And then next thing you know, you're like, you need 9 pounds of aloe the next day, and it's just a bad scene. But it was a fun club season, and I know you enjoyed it, Matt, covering all your events as well.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to a new season. I think every year brings a new kind of theme or new things pop up, and sort of see how clubs translate one year to the next. And watching, I think a cool thing is watching those players kind of develop and come through the system, and like who took that jump next year. Like we're way more familiar with the players in the clubs now, and I think going into year 2, it's having that knowledge and that baseline, and then expanding on that. Like I'm really looking forward to the fall and winter and next spring, and we kind of know what to expect now too, which is nice.
Should we do some extra time?
Yeah, let's do it.
It's the end of regulation, so let's move to extra time.
Yes, sir, ladies and gentlemen. My mic was off. I guess it's back now. Sheesh. It's been a little while, boys. But
it's summertime. We're all a little off our game.
It's summertime, so we're a little off. Yeah, producer Dave here, back with Extra Time, where I lob 3 questions the way both of our panelists here. They're unprepared. They're shaking in their cleats, and we'll see how they do. Question number 1, Matt L., we'll start with you. What's the best name you've ever heard for a soccer team? Best name. That could be pro, could be MLS, could be international, could be college, could be anything.
That's a good one.
Or a team you played on, perhaps.
The rough trend with soccer now is everything is football club, FC. Right. Everything's FC. It's like kind of annoying. I mean, I feel like there's like a laundry list of like minor league baseball teams you could go to with this, but soccer's tough. Nothing really. I remember when the Revolution launched their new brand campaign. They were like, with their new logo and everything. Their joke was like, not another FC, because we're not like, we're going to stick with being the Revolution. Yeah. There's not a lot of creativity in the soccer world.
Do you like Revolution as a name?
I actually liked it. Yeah, I actually liked it when it came out. I like their logo. I like the way the brand has been marketed. I do, because a lot of the MLS teams have gone the other way and changed to that. What we just said, that FC thing, and you had some great names like when the. When the MLS first started, you had the Colorado Rapids. Was a great name.
That's a good name.
Yeah, it was a great. Yeah. And they had a great logo. It was like the rat like rafting on the rat. It was awesome. And all these MLS, that's how it started with all these great names, the LA Galaxy and all these.
I was going to say, like
San Jose
Galaxy.
Earthquake. Like it was.
That's a good one. Too.
Yeah, it was great. And then they were like, oh wait, we need to appeal.
The Earthquake's still a team.
But are they still called that though?
I think so.
Okay, then they kept it. But a lot of them have. Oh, Seattle Sounders is a good one too.
I was going to say, here, take mine.
Yeah, there's some good ones.
Chicago Fire.
Oh man, we're just going through the whole MLS now.
Well, all right. So
there's no fate. I don't
sorry,
know.
David's trying to tame the herd here. So Matt L, excellent thoughts.
Yeah, lots of thoughts, no real answer.
You didn't give an
without a real
answer.
answer,
I don't know
but
if that counts.
let's just see if Matt D has a selection here.
I was going to say, LA Galaxy.
You go Galaxy?
It's just swaggy. I like the Seattle Sounders. I think that's a creative name.
Yeah.
If we're going New England clubs, I like the Boston Bolts. I think that is a cool one.
That's a good
for
one.
a New England club.
There's always a tad of awkwardness when the name of the team doesn't end in an S, because then you can say
right,
he was a Rapid from 2007 to 2009, but you can't say he was a Revolution. You'd have to say he's a member of the. But then again, here we are in Boston. The Red Sox have the same problem. So,
True.
All right. Well, good thoughts both on that. Despite the fact that it took you forever.
Took a long
No, I'm
way.
just kidding. That's good.
No,
Excellent
it was.
answer.
I did not bring
Okay.
it on that one.
That's Langone.
Matt D, will start you with this one. If you could have one piece of soccer memorabilia, anything on the planet, representing any player, any stadium, any team, anything at all, what piece of soccer memorabilia would you want?
I'm not really a memorabilia guy.
Well, you are today.
Like, I don't need it, but I would say maybe like Messi's cleats or something like that I could sell in 50 years for a lot of money.
You're such a softy sentimentalist there, Doherty. Nicely done. All right, Messi's cleats.
Or like,
good answer.
famous players, Ronaldo's cleats, something like that. Like something that he wore or used. Jersey. Actually, no, I'd go with jersey. I'd go with Messi jersey.
Okay.
I don't want the cleats. Those are smelly. I'll take a jersey and I'll frame it up and put it in the den or something
All right,
like
see,
that.
now we're talking. All right.
What signet? I need it signed too.
Yeah, you gotta have it signed.
Yeah.
And authenticated.
Yeah.
This is okay. Matt L.
Yeah, I was gonna say like a Pele's cleats or something, but the ball that Maradona, the Hand of God goal, the famous Hand of God goal by Maradona, that ball would be an awesome, especially Maradona's dead now, which is unfortunate, but if he ever signed that, that would be an awesome.
I wonder where that ball is right now.
I know it's got to
be preserved somewhere.
It's got to be somewhere because that might be that's arguably the most famous goal ever scored. So maybe that one. And
I grew up
Maradona was awesome too.
I grew up in the 70s and 80s. I was going to say Kyle Rote Jr.'s jock strap, which I think is available on eBay.
Available?
No, not really.
Yeah.
Not
Or
really.
when the U.S. wins the World Cup next year, we'll take that ball.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Slightly
Frank
off.
says otherwise. I don't think Frank sees that happen.
This is off subject, but I think you guys will enjoy it. The talk about museums and memorabilia. I didn't know this, but Atlanta Fulton County Stadium, where Hank Aaron hit his 715th home run, and since then is it Braves Field? They have a new. Anyway, they knocked down the old stadium. There's a parking lot there, but there's one spot in the parking lot which they've preserved with a stretch of a wall and a sort of replica of a part of the bullpen where he hit the 750th.
That's
home run.
awesome.
I thought that was, now they're going to build a stadium on there, so I don't know what they're going to do with it.
Yeah.
But, whatever. Final question for extra time. What is the coolest soccer uniform you've ever worn? The coolest soccer uniform
That we've worn?
That I've worn.
That you've worn. Yeah. I mean, you can interpret the question any way you like, but it's a personal question. So who'd like to go first on that? They both look stumped.
What always sticks out to me when I dig up old photos of me playing is like how ill-fitting and terrible the uniforms were back then. I mean, it's just baggy and like the sleeves past your elbows.
That's the look.
I know, it was the look back then. I would say, I feel like our senior year high school uniforms were pretty fire, actually, pretty decent.
And where'd you go to high school?
I went to Beverly High School.
Okay.
That in Beverly.
You guys have good colors.
Beverly,
at
Massachusetts. Yeah, the Panthers, black and orange.
Orange are good.
We had some nice uniforms my senior year. Our jerseys were pretty nice. But the unis were never that cool, though. I mean, like, growing up travel unis were pretty basic. Like, the youth unis were basic.
The look of soccer jerseys today they seem to have a big tapestry of colors and unusual patterns, and a lot of times sponsorships. Let's face it.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
And they were more simple, right? Back in the day, yeah.
Like I love like the Seattle Sounders uniforms. Like I love the bright unis, like the bright kind of
day glow.
Yeah, like exactly.
Yeah.
But you're right, yeah. But even though like the U.S. national team jerseys have been pretty conservative, they wore some nice ones actually this summer in the Gold Cup. They wore some nice ones, but it's funny. There's never been a great uniform in any sport. Like my uniforms in all sports I played were kind of basic. I feel like nothing great.
I had some good baseball ones. I mean, my soccer career wasn't long. I think my first ever soccer uniform, I actually wrote about this in my intro column, but like this green Wakefield soccer jersey that went down to my knees, down to the wrists, as Matt would say. Like that was pretty swaggy. It was just so plain and like looked good on a 5-year-old boy. And then like travel was pretty good. Like I played Wakefield travel. Our colors were red and white, so like I remember those jerseys were kind of cool. Like had like white sleeves but red down the middle.
Now I played a couple sports at Milton.
But nothing outstanding.
Nothing outstanding. I played baseball and basketball, neither very well, but at Milton Academy, and the jerseys were okay. They were old-timey, but that's because we didn't own them. They just got
right.
Did you guys have that as well, or does everybody gets new jerseys?
Yeah, you had to hand them back at the end of the season.
You did.
Yeah, you never got to keep them.
Oh,
I will say we had some sweet warm-ups actually.
Yeah.
For basketball and soccer during my high school days, there were some sweet warm-ups. We had some really nice Adidas warm-ups. Those were almost cooler than the uniforms.
Did you get to keep those? Or
we
no?
did. You got to buy the warm-ups. They were Adidas warm-ups. You got to keep those. They were pretty in style for the late 90s. I graduated in 2000. They were like jogger style warm-ups. They were awesome. I wish I still had them. I'd rock them right now. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, as a prize, you're both going to get your most requested memorabilia item, a lock of Taylor Twellman's hair for some reason.
I'd take that.
Okay. All right. We're going to see what we can do.
Oh, God. Taylor
But
Twellman.
excellent job both on Extra Time.
Thank you.
And back to you, Matty D, to wrap things up.
All right, thank you for listening to today's episode. The New England Soccer Journal's The Goal podcast is produced by David Yaz and is a Siemens media production.
You've been listening to New England Soccer Journal's The Goal podcast. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen to our podcast. Or visit anysoccerjournal.com/podcast. Siemens Media. Inspiring, informative, insightful.